This episode is brought to you by Pinecast. Pinecast is an easy-to-use podcast hosting site that lets you post your show to the leading podcast platforms, including Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Sign up for Pinecast today using the promo code R-63F8FB to get 40% off your first 4 months. Today, we had Dave back on the show. We had fun with him last time, so we figured we'd do it again. And we talked about video games in the first part, and the first one's a long one. And then the second one, we talked about politics and other crazy shit. So it's a pretty random episode, so enjoy.
Don't give him clear shot! Don't give him clear shot! Don't give him clear shot! Don't give him clear shot!
Wait, you got to clap.
It doesn't matter.
It's not my clap that works.
It's just either way we can.
I'll clap, motherfuckers.
So is it me
Let's
or
start
is
this
it just
shit.
me or
It's
is
gonna
it,
be
is
fun.
it things that are blue just taste better? Like
Things that are blue do not taste better. That's fake.
you don't like blue flavor?
Root beer is brown, so no. No,
But,
root
like,
beer
do
is
you-
the best taste.
do you like blue things though?
Shit is also brown.
Yeah, it is.
It's also better
You know
than
that
that.
you know that British people hate root beer?
I don't care. Sure, yeah, whatever. Whatever, dude.
The root that they
Fuck
make
that.
the root that they make root beer out of is the same root that they use to flavor cough syrup in like
Oh,
in
but
Europe.
it's so good.
Can you imagine? Dude, I would
be addicted
robo-tripping
to
all
cough
the time.
syrup. Yeah. I wonder if you can get fucking
European cough syrup.
European cough syrup on
Oh.
Amazon.
I thought you were going to say addicted
Man,
to cough syrup.
I have a cold. You just start chugging it. Oh, this tastes good. I feel like I love all of those. Like birch beer is wicked good. I love birch beer.
Yep. You like Dr. Pepper? Obviously.
I mean,
right?
Dr.
Yeah,
Pepper.
Dr. Pepper is good.
How many flavors does it have?
23. I actually just talked to a coworker
Sure.
about that the other
That's
day.
what they say.
I thought it was 7, and then they're like, "No, that's KFC."
No. 7.
Yeah,
KFC only has 7?
7 herbs and
Oh.
spices. Or
Oh,
is it 8
yeah.
herbs and spices? 7
Who
herbs.
cares?
Yeah, but that's herbs and spice. That's not flavors.
No, that's just
Those are different.
Yeah, that's not the same thing. Herbs and spices have nothing to do with flavor.
It's actually true. Google it.
Okay, so before we started rolling.
First of all, this is the first time we've had a guest on twice in a row.
Yeah, fuck yeah,
we
motherfuckers.
had to. We were.
This is good.
You were leaving last week, and you were like, "I want to be on again," and we're like, "Well, we don't have anybody."
We didn't have a
on
lot of.
next
We didn't
But
have a
we
lot
don't
of time.
we don't schedule ahead. at
No,
all.
No.
not usually. This is probably the furthest we
And then,
scheduled.
and then if
ahead.
people don't show up, we just do it ourselves.
Yeah, fuck
Yeah.
it. You don't need anybody.
Yeah, and it's pretty great. When we do it ourselves, it turns into way too much football talk.
It does.
Oh, I'm
turn
sure.
into-
Like you'll be like, "Oh, isn't that cool? I got a clear container for my liquor," and I'm like, "You know what else is clear?
Yeah, dude, Patrick Mahomes.
yeah, you know what else is clear? Visors on football helmets.
Jesus
it'll be football for 45
Dude, some
minutes.
of the guys though, like when they jack up their equipment with like crazy shit, like the dark visor, and like, dude,
That
it looks
shit looks
hilarious. When you
It's like-
create a character in Madden and you just give them all the equipment you can.
Oh yeah,
it's
you give them
fucking
every single
hilarious.
piece of whatever
Yeah.
the heaviest duty equipment is. You
Yep.
make them the tallest height,
The
most
sleeves,
weight.
the sleeves.
You got to
and
get the
fucking
shooter
Yeah,
sleeves.
the
shoulder pads.
sleeves,
shooters-
the
so-
full shoulder to wrist, fucking black, like neoprene sleeves or whatever.
different
See,
glove, a
no
different glove
reason.
on each hand.
Yeah.
And man, you
Yeah.
can get the ones that go from your wrist to the middle of your like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, like the Allen Iverson.
Allen Iverson. Yeah.
yeah. Oh man.
What was that? He had to cover up tattoos, didn't he?
Yeah, but what the fuck?
I mean,
who
really.
gives a
What-
shit?
what were the
Now no
tattoos?
one does. You just have tattoos.
Well,
Who
they must
cares?
have
They
been.
never did it back then. He was a game changer, dude.
Yeah, but
That's true.
they
That's
must
true.
have been.
You never saw 'em.
Suggestive
really
tattoos.
good.
I would
Yeah,
say.
they're probably just naked chicks. Or
It's probably
something,
just like
you know what I
bitches
mean?
blowing dudes and shit. Like,
Which
It was just
who
a human
the fuck
centipede
gets
all the way
that
down.
tattooed? Who would do that? It's funny.
Allen Iverson was.
Allen Iverson, yeah.
He also got in a fight in a bowling alley and threw a chair at somebody. So.
Really?
Well, I mean, that's.
yeah. He almost got
right.
banned from playing.
I mean, that's pretty.
Where'd he go? Georgetown? I don't know.
That's pretty light.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah. I remember that. Yep. That was Allen Iverson?
Yeah, that was a big thing. I was only 4, but I watched the documentary.
Fucked.
But that's light.
Yeah,
considering
that's how
what
I know. There's a
happens
documentary
now.
on it. Yep.
There's so much shit that happens now. It's like it's not really
the greatest NBA scandal, like not scandal, but like controversial event is for me. It's always going to be scumbag Ron Artest fist fighting crowd members.
Yep.
And then
hilarious.
changes his name. He changed his name to what? Meta World Peace or whatever.
Yep.
That's what
Yeah, sure you are, or you're just Ron Artest.
I mean,
So stupid.
Changing your name
That's
doesn't
the
really.
thing too, is that Ron Artest was actually a scary motherfucker.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
Like,
Fuck that guy.
I like Dennis Rodman though. Dennis
Rodman,
Rodman
another
Dennis
weirdo.
Rodman's the
is
shit.
But
like
seems to be really cool.
he's sober now too. Apparently, he went sober and now he's friends with Kim Jong Un.
Yeah.
Apparently,
I mean, he changed
what
his
you have to
hair.
look
He
forward
changed
to.
his hair like he
What is
changed
that?
his fucking underpants, though.
That's the all-time most like what the fuck
Dude,
thing I can think
when
of.
you used to play
Rodman is tight with the leader of North Korea. Why?
Yeah.
And there's like an
They're boys.
ambassador.
You should
there.
have been in
What?
the interview. I'm
Rodman,
surprised he wasn't in the
Dennis
interview.
Rodman, really? Dennis Rodman is like, why
I
Rodman?
know, right?
What the fuck?
Why not?
Maybe
MJ?
he was a Bulls fan, dude.
He was.
Maybe.
I think that's what it was. He was a big basketball
That
fan.
has to be what it was.
That's insane.
Dude, when I used to play NBA Hang Time on the N64 all the time,
That's
and
so
the
good.
only character
So
that you
good.
could change the appearance of was Dennis Rodman. There was a button where you could change his hair color,
That's hilarious.
so
and there was no one else you could change like the attire of. It was fucking awesome. Because
That's
I always
actually
used to
wicked
play
cool.
the Bulls. Jordan wasn't in it because at the time,
he was retired, right?
well, no, because Jordan was doing like he had a lot of disputes like contract wise. Like he wasn't even in some of the main games. They would put 23 in the game, but they wouldn't. It
Oh,
wouldn't
so it
say
was like-
Jordan.
it was like
Like
the
they didn't
NCAA
have
games.
they didn't have the rights to like his name and shit.
yeah,
They do that with
remember
Charles
that.
Barkley.
Yeah, yeah.
Fucking.
So Hang Time was the one that was like
It was NBA
right?
Jam basically.
Basically, yeah. The best basketball game I ever played on N64 was just NBA Live 97. It was so good.
yeah, the NBA Live game.
Here's a good story for you guys about NBA Live 97. It's a good one.
He's like,
This
I got
is the-
stories about
Dude,
NBA.
I
this
do.
is-
I actually
This is
do.
the
This is a good
last. Like, if my dad, but before the podcast, my dad was like, "So what are you guys going to talk about?" I don't know, probably like just random stuff,
NBA
video
Live
games.
97.
Trust me, it's gonna get ran.
I'm gonna be like, yeah, Dave's gonna bring up NBA Live '97. 5 minutes.
so
and he's gonna hate blue stuff.
one of my best friends ever. He's like my first friend I ever had. Odie Martinez. I know you guys have to know who it is.
He moved.
He's in Cali now. Yeah, he's married and he lives in Cali. He seems to be doing
seems
really
like he's
well.
doing
Yeah,
good, yeah.
hell yeah. I know he does. He does a lot of media stuff,
used
like
to do those
podcasts
videos.
and videos
Yeah,
and let's plays and all that stuff.
He was
And
pretty
he's-
good at 'em.
It's gonna grow, man. He's gonna keep doing it. It's gonna keep happening. But that's nothing to do with this. For a little while, when he was still living in New York, me and him lived together, like very briefly. We had an apartment on Ellen Street, and there was a ton of people that lived there with us, right? Just all mutual friends of ours. But me and him weren't working at the time somehow, but still living there because we were all just scumbags.
Right.
And so we would stay up all night and play video games. We'd just play emulators and shit. So we made a fake team on NBA Live 97 on my computer. And then we made every single playable character. We made the whole roster of fake characters. Took us like hours. And then the whole reason I'm getting to the story is because we were playing that. We played an entire season, and obviously.
Okay,
we're
that
in the
alone is
final
impressive
game.
though,
Yep.
because like
Wait, you did all
spending that
82
much
games?
time.
No, you will. If
Well,
you're
spending
not,
that much time on building characters alone, like
took
you
us
get
hours.
exhausted.
Well, we
So,
were
like,
doing
you don't
this
even-
over days.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
you don't even end up playing a game half the time.
We were playing this all day and night for like a week straight, just
Oh my
diving
God.
in. And so this one night at like 4:30 in the morning, when like other people that live there have work in the morning and shit, and we're in our room and it's the fucking like game 7 or whatever, and we're whipping so much ass, and I don't remember who said it, but one of us, like in excitement, talking about the other team was like, "You ready to fuck this ass?" And then we realized, wait, everybody, all of our roommates know we're hanging out in the same room right now, and it's been dead silent, and one of us just yelled, "Are you ready to fuck this ass?" And we were like, "Oh no." And then of course we go downstairs the next day, and our roommates are like looking at us like, "You guys good? What the fuck? You guys fucked last night?"
Congrats
We're
on the
like,
sex.
"No, we were just playing NBA Live." And they're like, "I bet. Yes, you were."
Oh my god.
NBA Live 97, man.
Yeah, that'll bring shit out of you, dude.
No, but that was such a good game. My favorite N64 game though that we played just too much was Gauntlet Legends.
Yeah, that game was cool.
That's not my favorite N64 game of all time, but
Just
that was
spent
the
the most
best
time
one we
playing
played
it.
then.
Yeah.
Yeah, we played so much time into it. No
Yeah.
Mercy, obviously.
I think World Tour was the one I played the most because it had.
Rampage World Tour?
No, all WCW
Of
NWO.
the like wrestling, yeah, World Tour.
Because I would just play Ultimo Dragon and Rey Mysterio
Well, what you do?
and Joe Bruiser.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Joe Bruiser.
You knew it was coming,
that
dude.
fucking
You
spike.
wicked knew it was coming, man.
The fucking spike on the
Yeah,
monitor.
dude. You knew that was coming. Fucking Joe Bruiser, man. That I was just about to say. What you do?
He's the most overpowered
What you
character.
do
in
is-
I
any
never
game.
played it. I need you guys to explain.
Yeah. So okay. So you can do like career mode basically, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah,
all
yeah.
it is it's each different belt in WCW at the time,
Yeah.
and you would just go.
And
You'd
there
have
was
to like
these
wrestle
fake,
everybody in the division.
There was like fake organizations that you
Yes,
play through.
which were like New Japan kind
DOA
of.
or something.
Yeah, it was like rip-offs.
This
of
is in the
Japanese
90s?
Yeah.
It was so good, dude.
That's insane.
So good. And so in that you would do like the heavyweight title, and you'd have to fight like 5 or 6 guys, and then you'd fight the champion.
Yeah.
And the champion would be a secret character. So you could unlock like Macho Man that way.
The unknown.
So many different people. But if you did all of the classes, you unlocked special classes that had like way more people in them and had secret characters and shit.
Yeah.
And if you got
Like
the
Black
titles,
Ninja.
Yup, Black Ninja. So if you beat all of every weight class, all the secret ones, you were given a chance to fight a guy who you would just whip his ass. He was garbage when you fought him.
Yeah.
Named Joe Bruiser, that's just a boxer. So he has no grappling moves.
He
has
basically
no
just
moves.
has a jab.
All he does is throw punches. But then when you play as him, those punches instant KO everybody.
Yeah.
And make him like he's
So
the
you just
most.
fucking
You just boss
hilarious.
guys up and they're dead. Yeah, it's so good.
And they're instantly
so,
on the ground
so
like
funny,
twitching
dude.
and shit. Like it's fucking
That's
hilarious.
fucking cold.
Yeah. And we would do 3 of us, and we would all be Joe Bruiser in a 3v1 handicap, and it'd be like me, Jake, and my cousin Matt, all as Joe Bruiser versus Eric Bischoff, and we would just stand out and just piss about him. It was so
Jesus.
funny, dude.
I gotta say, my I never had a Nintendo 64. I had a PlayStation 1. But I'd have to say my favorite game growing up was definitely... It was either Alien Trilogy
It's a good one.
or... I remember my older brother came up once from Florida when I was a kid, and he gave me Resident Evil 3.
Nemesis is
when I was
good.
way too
Short,
young for
but
that
good.
shit. I was like 5.
See, I guess I played a lot of N64, so like I feel like most of the games that I would consider my favorite game growing up would be an N64 game.
I played a
Yeah.
lot of both because I had an N64 and Jake had a PS1.
Yeah.
So
Like,
we
I
were just
had-
anything
Yeah.
on both we were playing.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 1's another one too.
Oh
but
my
I didn't
God.
I didn't understand it until I was older. And then when I played through it, I mean, not older, like I was probably like 11 or 12. So, but I had reading comprehension skills by then.
Right.
You know, not
Well,
a lot
yeah.
of them.
I hope fucking hope. What the fuck?
You know,
12? You're 12 years old?
That's about the threshold.
Yeah, that's how old you have to be.
That's
I think.
that's the sweet spot age if you're gonna be a
you're gonna
fucking
if you're-
trapper on
Yeah.
To Catch a Predator.
If you're gonna play
You're gonna
Metal Gear
be
Solid.
12 years old.
Why do we always have to talk about pedophiles when you're on?
The Chris Hansen thing always comes up.
Because Hanson always says that.
12.
12. Anywho, yeah. So
Yeah. And I mean, I love football, so I definitely played a ton of Madden and NCAA growing up. I loved
the NCAA, the college level games are
they are
nasty.
impeccable. They're so
they're
good.
almost better than the
definitely-
professional
they
stuff.
are. They totally are. And
Not anymore, obviously.
yeah, they
but
don't make them. The last one was 14, right?
That's weird. Why would they not make the college games?
I think it was
Because
a
it
contract
was a-
sort of.
it was a
dispute.
contract thing.
That's fair. That's fair.
And there was the thing about paying the players.
I mean,
Well, it
it's
was-
Which they should do.
Yeah.
What the fuck? They wicked should pay the players.
that whole
That's
thing
so
is
scummy.
fucked up, and
My
that's part of the
God.
reason they don't make them anymore. Really,
yeah, but they also like.
You're welcome.
Nice. I had my buddy fucking has that same flavor that you. Why am I? My buddy has the same flavor that you have, and I had him refill my Jewel Pods, but I couldn't find them. But I have that same one. The
Fucking donuts.
yeah.
It's good.
yeah, and then he has one that's the marshmallows from Lucky Charms. Just that,
oh, just the marshmallow.
like just the marshmallow flavor.
That's
which
probably good.
It's decent, but I got just spearmint in right now.
I think for me, there's two. I can't even like talk about favorite games from my childhood because
Like, I don't
just too
have
many.
Like, what do you
one,
think?
yeah.
I don't have
What do you
one.
think
There's too many.
Yeah, I don't think.
I think
anybody has
Star
one.
Fox 64 is up
Oh,
there,
that's amazing.
and Super Mario 64. Was
Super Mario
up there, too.
64, definitely. For me,
I like Jack and Daxter one.
Jack and Daxter one is
Crash
good.
Bandicoot was really
Crash
good.
Bandicoot. Yep. Spyro, definitely.
Yeah,
Spyro or Crash?
Which one's better?
Yeah, which
Crash
one
is-
would you rather play?
I would take
Ooh.
Crash.
Yeah.
That's tough. They're both super fond of
Spyro
memories.
had some weak
Probably
games.
Spyro.
I think
I'd
Spyro
go
had some
Spyro.
weak games though.
Yeah,
I
but
feel
the
like-
first one is so good. Well, the first three are good, but then Skylanders doesn't even count. But like Year of the Dragons, wicked good.
Yeah.
Ripto's Rage is wicked good.
I just felt like Crash was like it controlled so well.
I
the
thought they
time.
both did.
Jack
but
and
yeah,
Daxter,
you're
Jack and
right.
Daxter is my
Crash
favorite
was amazing.
platformer for sure.
Favorite platformer?
Is Jack and Daxter one?
Is Mario 64 a platformer? Because if you
Yeah,
I
consider
think
that
it
one,
is,
that's the best. That's my
I never.
favorite.
I like
I
Banjo
never
Kazooie
played
too.
it.
Banjo-Kazooie is really good.
Banjo
Yep.
Kazooie's dope. Banjo Kazooie is literally the reason I have Game Pass on Xbox because it has.
Because you got to be able to play it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thing is, with those games, it's so weird because like those were like the first games to like have such a long play time. Like
They're
you could
so-
max
my
those
God.
out.
I would say Final Fantasy, which is cool because we
Yeah,
brought
yeah,
that up
yeah.
earlier.
Oh yeah, yeah,
so,
we totally.
But,
did.
But
like-
yeah, Final Fantasy is like the first mega long play times. But you're right;
It felt like it
those
had more
platformers were long.
the
Yeah.
collectathons. That
Yes.
Yeah, they're so good, dude.
like N6, like
And Bubsy.
Super Mario 64 felt like it had
Fucking
like it
Bubsy,
felt like
come on.
64 or Super Mario 64 had like you could go for all the stars, you could max out all the stars on all the levels.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
there were things to chase after.
You could
It was
throw
like
the
an end
penguin off
game.
the.
There was
off
an
the
end game
cliff.
There was
Yeah.
stuff to do. Yeah. I mean,
because you got to go get Yoshi on top of the castle.
yeah, you do. I feel like the games that come to mind for N64 for me that were huge for me are obviously No Mercy, WCW versus NWO Revenge, because that was like the first game I ever got for the console.
Pokemon Stadium
Pokemon Snap for me.
and Snap was good.
Stadium is the most frustrating scam game ever
Yeah.
made. Like literally
Yeah,
designed to
that-
not be able to be beaten.
Yeah.
Yeah, that game.
And
I could
that-
not
think it frustrating.
me and Grant tried for so many years that we were just still playing it before he moved to Canandaigua.
The only
We
way
didn't
you
hang
can
out a
do
lot,
it
but when we
is-
did,
isn't
it was
the Elite
Stadium,
Four
and
all?
we just never came close.
Well, isn't the Elite Four all level 50 or 70?
No, so the way it works
It's
is
dog shit. First of
Because
all,
but you could
First off,
you, could,
you can rip through the whole game, rip through the Elite Four
Right.
and everything easily. If you have a nasty
Yeah,
level 99 guys
it's
team
just
or
the
100 or
Elite
whatever,
Four.
then you'll still beat them. But then when you beat them, the whole entire game resets and it's like all new game plus and it's way
that's
harder.
right, yeah.
And that's impossible, no
Yeah.
matter who your team is. Because the reason the game is impossible is because it's you're hitting buttons and giving it inputs from your controller, and it takes your inputs and goes,
also-
I'm
yes.
gonna plan my moves to fuck them. So the computer is always a step ahead of your moves, and you can't win.
That's how Madden works.
You just can't.
Dude,
yeah, that's how. Yeah, yeah.
Dude, there will, like, if I'm on Xbox and I hear the bloop or whatever the noise is, and it's message from Crimson Glyph, I immediately know it's a Madden clip, pissed. And I immediately know that it's something fucking abysmal.
Yeah,
dude, I sent Seth one.
It's like, oh, you're running a halfback search.
Oh,
time to do the exact counter to that. Time to fucking blitz the right side.
He sent me one where
bullshit.
he was playing as the corner, or no, they threw a pass. He switched to the corner, and the corner went and then froze mid stride, and the receiver somehow like immediately was like 5 steps in the time of 1 step.
That's such
caught
bullshit.
it with one hand, juggled it on the way to the end zone. Basically,
that's all you gotta do.
Then there was the one I sent you last week where I fucking mauled the offensive lineman, and I got to the quarterback and I pressed X to tackle him, and he just froze.
Yeah. It's like
What
that
the
shit
fuck?
happens all the time, but it's just frustrating when you're up by 3 points in the fourth quarter and they
and
forget
there's
that
like
shit.
30 seconds left. And they
Yeah.
go, got ya.
Yeah.
You will not win.
I actually had
I
a
hate that
nasty
shit.
comeback the other day. I decided to challenge myself, and I became the coach of the Bills.
What a waste of time.
And I ran a 3-headed monster rushing offense, and I got against the Panthers. And I was down 24-3 at halftime, and I came back and won 27-24, which I don't even know how I did it. But I
How
had
the,
an achievement
what the
for that.
fuck?
For some
How did
reason,
they get 1 point on you? What?
23.
You were 23.
Oh, I'm at
whatever.
24-3. I'm at 24-3.
Okay, I was like, wait,
I'm at 24.
what?
It was
You're
20
playing football.
It was 24-3, and I won 27-24. And I just, for some reason, it was like the role switched, and I was the computer, and the computer was me, because like the fucking AI just shat the bed. Like I got every play on defense I called perfectly. You can predict whether they're gonna run or pass, and I predicted it each time. I got like 8 sacks in the second half. Like,
A safety is where you get tackled in your own end zone, right? How
And
many
you get
points
2
do you,
points.
you get? 2? So it's not possible.
and you get the ball back.
In my head, I'm like, wait, man,
You can
maybe
get
safety.
There's
Nope,
only
no
one way to get 1 point, and it's if you catch an extra point attempt. You can't block it
Oh,
because if
that's
the ball
right,
hits the
yeah.
ground, the play's dead. You have to catch an extra point attempt and run it back, and it's never been done before. But it's in the
And
rule
you
book.
only get 1
You
point
get 1
for that.
point.
You get 1
It's
point.
not
That's
even worth
so
running
fake.
it back
No.
at that point.
Why would you? Yeah,
unless
no one even
unless
would.
it's tied.
How would you not just get a touchdown?
because it's technically not a play because it's the
Because
point
it's after the
'Cause
touchdown.
it's- okay,
You're
I
going
got
for
it.
1 point.
Because
so
you can
like,
do that with 2-point conversions.
Yeah,
If
you
get a
can pick it
six
up
on a
and score
2-point,
2.
and then you get
Who
2.
would ever do it?
It just doesn't make any sense.
You would never try. You would just want to have an actual attempt at a
Yeah.
goal. Like,
Yeah, or you just want to block the.
Or you would
fucking-
just, yeah,
Or you just
wanna
block it.
snuff
Fuck
the
'em.
fucking attempt. I think Ed Reid is like the only person I know of that's done the 2-point return. Because
That's
of course
so
he
dumb.
has.
it's
Yeah.
so dumb.
And yeah,
I mean, that's easier though. I mean,
oh,
I
for
think
sure.
going
Getting
if someone's
getting
going for
100
2, you
getting
just pick it
100
off.
yard
and-
pick 6 is way easier than
Yeah.
catching a fucking field goal.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that would be so.
I don't think I've
monster,
ever
though.
seen somebody
That would
catch.
be-
That would be so
What are you gonna
badass.
fucking? They have a
Dude,
play
you would
where the
break
dude
your
puts his
hands.
foot in his hands and gets shot up in the air, and he's like, ah! He grabs it. That's so fake.
As soon as he kicks it, he just snaps.
That'd be some shit from like an
Somehow
Adam Sandler
lands
movie.
like from 10 feet in the air, lands on his feet, and takes off.
doesn't land on any other body.
Yeah,
even though it's just
somehow.
a massive body.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my god. I feel like yeah.
Oh, another game too. You guys were talking about wrestling games. I brought this up last week. SmackDown versus Raw. I played a ton of with my
me
cousin
too.
Nick.
Yeah, we used to play
Just
it all the
creating characters.
time. Was that
and
the
going
one?
through.
Was that the one where you could do the 6-man Hell in the Cell?
Yup.
Every man for himself.
Yup.
Me, Jake, and Grant used to do that just for 10 hours straight, and we had fake characters.
You could
and
do.
stuff.
They had the Elimination Chamber Hell in a Cell too.
And we would
I'm pretty sure.
only play against like the worst guys, like fucking what's the
Chavo
title?
Guerrero.
Like Nunzio
Yeah.
and shit.
Did SmackDown
Like,
versus
did-
Raw have Elimination Chamber or no?
Yeah,
It did. It
had
did. I
the-
think.
And I don't
Dude,
remember.
I just because Here Comes the Pain I played so much of, and it had Hell in a
Same.
Cell.
So
it had-
much. So
it had
good.
everything, and you could
Everything.
do factions. So we'd
The
create
character was
characters
amazing.
and do factions
Yup,
together.
It was awesome.
What, like
That's
Stables?
probably the second
Yeah.
best wrestling game ever made. There's a very
Is
good
that the one
argument
with
for
Brock
it.
Lesnar on the cover?
Yes,
Okay,
it's so
yeah,
good.
that's another good
That's a
one.
very good argument for the second best wrestling game ever made.
I spent
Yeah,
so
I remember.
much time.
I remember my cousin Nick and I made this woman's wrestler called Donut, and we made her butt fuck ugly and had her wear like a tie-dye unitard, but we made her like 7'4", but
Dude.
like 120 pounds.
me and Jake made a guy one time on No Mercy, which is the best wrestling game ever made. We made a guy on there called Max Titan, and he was just the tallest height, highest weight, only power moves that KO and bleed. Every single move was power move that KOs and bleed, unless it's not available, like punches and shit. Punches are the most available, but then so Jake would play as him for a while, whatever, and then we would start, like, we made our own guys and we would run them, and we'd end up having to face that guy, and it was so scummy because you couldn't do any lifting moves to him. You just would everything you tried to do, you would just go to lift him and
they'd be like
back and would stop you,
Yeah.
and then he would hit you with some fucked up arm strike and you'd
heavyweight or
instantly
whatever.
bleed.
Yeah, I remember I made a guy. I made a guy called Prototype, and he was a combination of Edge and Shawn Michaels. And he was so bullshit because his finishing moves were sweet chin music and a spear, but you could also make them your standard moves.
Yes.
Which was
so
dog
crazy.
shit. So like the whole fight, I would just spear dudes and sweet chin music them, and then my finishers would just be the same shit.
Yeah.
But they would do way more damage for no good reason.
I remember like actually.
Dude, that was the case in a lot of them. I remember having like a jackhammer as just a
Yeah.
normal fucking.
I remember.
Here comes the pain, dude. You could make
Oh, fuck.
wicked,
Which one was
devastating
it?
moves for
There's-
your
You're like
grapple
swanton
powers.
bomb every time you go to the top rope.
Yep.
Like
Every
5-star frog
single
splash every time.
Every single time.
I remember it's one of the 2K games that I played. You can have the Canadian Destroyer as a grapple move.
What the fuck?
Like you have to unlock it, and it's called like front flip front flip pile driver.
Yeah, I remember having sharpshooter as just a regular, like on the
dude,
ground.
it's so broken.
Yeah,
submission
well,
move.
the thing with like No Mercy was that you just kind of had to. Like you didn't have, like the only choices for moves were solid moves.
Yeah,
Here's a wrestling game that I always hear about that I've never played because it didn't come over here. We should try to find it sometime and check it out here. Well, I'll come over here. We'll play it on your N64 if we can find a copy that works. It's not Fire Pro Wrestling, but they made so THQ, I believe, with AKI made a game over in Japan it's the same engine as No Mercy, but it's all New Japan and shit. And apparently the roster is insane, and a lot of people say it's the best wrestling game ever made over No Mercy. It's like apparently that good. I've never even played. It never came over.
It's not
here.
Virtual Pro Wrestling.
Yes, it
You know
is.
what?
Yes, it is. Virtual
Yes,
Pro Wrestling.
okay.
Yep. It
Now, I
might be
think there
Virtual
was-
Pro Wrestling 2, though.
I think there was a PC version of it, and
Maybe.
someone I remember had something like that. I think that was the game.
I've
But
never
I think
played
he
it,
had
but
it
I
on
want
PC.
to bad.
Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 Odo
'Cause it-
Kaisho. Odo Kaisho.
Sure.
They should just
Yeah,
do it
the
again,
same
dude.
engine as WrestleMania 2000.
Yep.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's fucking
It's got, like
crazy.
Shinsuke Nakamura in it.
He's.
and shit.
I think he might be in it. I'm pretty sure Brock Lesnar's in it because by the time it came out, no, it couldn't be. Not yet.
Yeah.
Nope. Not yet. I think maybe I'm thinking of Vader. Is in
Yeah,
it
it
because
could've
he
been
was
Vader.
big in New
There's
Japan
fighters
and
from
in-
Pride in it.
Yes, there's Pride fighters in it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
And then you got
That's right. Yes, I know
Yes.
this game.
you got Rickson Gracie, you got Andre the Giant,
It had
He's so
Jumbo Saruta.
yeah. No, it actually had straight up fighters in it.
Yeah.
yes.
And I remember it very vaguely. I remember the character screen and like just like the shit. You could not tell who any of the characters were until you scroll over them because it was an old video game.
I want to play Fire Pro Wrestling World because those games are amazing.
Yeah.
They're hard to sell to
They
people
are.
because they look so bare bones. You look and go, what? But when you play them, they're so deep.
hmm I think that's part of the problem now is like everybody looks at graphics so hard now. Like there's games that just you don't need that shit for.
No.
Like honestly, on PC most of the time, I crank my graphics down just to get frames out of them.
Just to be able to play it and enjoy
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I don't give a fuck about graphics.
Even
I
if
don't
it's
care.
this gen, I'm like, well, I don't care.
Yeah,
Like,
I never cared. I just want good. I want games that are finished and that are good.
I also
and fun
want
to play. That's it. I don't care.
Yeah, I also want a smooth experience. So I want 60 frames.
Yes.
So
Yes.
as soon as I hit 60 frames, I'm fine with whatever the graphics are.
Speaking of World, did you guys ever play the Digimon World games?
For PS1,
I didn't play any of the Digimon.
What's up with Digimon?
I never got into Digimon.
I think I did. Me and Jake used to watch it because it was anything like Pokemon, and I remember loving it, but I can't.
It was on
remember
like
anything from
right
it.
after.
I had Digimon Rumble. It was like a fighting, like
I
a
remember
2D
that
fighting
one too.
game.
It was like a almost like Virtual Fighter, like Bloody Roar. Bloody Roar was a really good one.
Fucking sweet.
Yeah, PS1 games. It was just, but the best. I mean, the best
There
3D
was-
fighting game ever made is Tekken 3.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Unless you consider, well, no, because there's Soul Calibur too, and those are amazing.
I only played Soul Calibur 2, and then I was done with Soul
It's so
Calibur.
good. It's
But then
so good.
I want
I-
to play the new one.
But
so
I
bad.
just got into just all the Dragon Ball games.
Yeah.
That was,
Oh,
dude,
Budokai
we
is-
went in
yeah,
on
Budokai's
Dragon Ball
awesome.
in an episode. Wicked hard on it.
Yeah,
few years ago. Like straight 40 minutes of Dragon
Dude,
Ball Budokai.
back when we were writing, back when Byrne was writing the 5-song demo we did with like Self-Proclaimed God and stuff, the way we wrote that is the whole band would be at Grant's like every single day, and we had all our stuff in the garage, and we would just sit in his house and play Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3, and then someone would be over at the computer in Guitar Pro tabbing out riffs we were working on, and then when we got new shit, we'd be like, okay, and we'd go out in the garage and rehearse the stuff, get it down, make tweaks, come back in, everybody would be playing Budokai 3, and Grant would go over and like
switch
tab,
out.
and we would just swap out, and we wrote like that entire EP that way.
Yeah, it's the only way.
It's so,
really.
dude, Budokai 3 is such a personal
Dude, honestly,
game for
if
us
they
'cause of
just
that.
because they reissued Budokai 1 and 3 for the 360. It was
3's the best one.
Budokai
It's
HD
unbelievable.
remastered or something. And
Yep.
it came with 1 and 3. And if they just did that every platform for every gen,
Yeah, why?
they'd sell a shit ton of them.
It's so good.
Even if it wasn't 1 and 3, because 2 was the one with like the board game like mode.
I don't remember that.
2 was really weird.
2 had like a
It
literal
was
board game
it was like
Which
yeah.
is
for the campaign.
to go back to most played N64 games in my childhood. Fucking Mario Party.
yeah.
Big time. Especially 2.
Yeah.
2 is the really
it's so
really
good.
good one.
Because I just got Super Mario Party and it's pretty cool. Like
I hear it's good.
I actually like it quite a bit. It's just that you can't play it by yourself, really.
Yeah, you have to have. Yeah, of course. I would say the only other games that I did, like, obviously Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
And
Oh my God.
Ocarina of Time, of course. Majora's
That
Mask
game was
as well.
way ahead of its time. Though.
Yeah, like 10 or 15 years ahead of its time.
God damn,
They
it
just
was
still don't make
ridiculous.
them as good as that game.
Yeah.
And then other than that, it would be obviously GoldenEye and Perfect Dark.
Right.
Yep. GoldenEye way more than Perfect Dark.
007 Nightfire.
Yeah, that was was that PS1?
PS2.
Fire or
2,
2?
I
That's
think.
PS2.
Yeah, that's a good one. But
That's the one where you fucking start off and you have to infiltrate the fucking mansion party, right?
Yeah.
And
I
you-
don't even
that
remember
one's
it.
wicked.
You had
It's
all the
been
gadgets,
so
like
long.
yeah,
watch
you can't
gadget
you
and
can't
shit.
get like caught and you have to fucking sabotage the whole mansion.
I
I had
like,
007 we talked about it a few weeks ago. The World Is Not Enough.
yes. Yep.
That one was fucking crazy.
Wicked good. That's a PS1 game.
Yeah, that was when you had the watch, and I remember the first level you had to plan a satchel charge. It's shit that James Bond would never do. You had to like rob a bank.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucked. They would never do that shit.
You had to like rob a bank.
He's
and,
like he's stealing children
and steal like
shit.
their files and shit, and then you had to use your wristwatch to like get onto a ski lift. And then you went from like a bank in like downtown Italy, and you went on a ski lift, and all of a sudden you're in like a ski lodge, and you're killing dudes in a ski lodge.
Yeah.
It's a
Dude,
wicked
that's-
weird game.
And GoldenEye 64, one of the scummiest things in the whole game is when you're on the train and you get to the back of the train and you have to escape before it blows up, and you have to shoot locks on a floor panel
Yeah.
with the watch laser, and you have 0 time.
Yeah,
The watch
I
laser
remember
is
that
it
shit.
is not easy to
And the
control.
watch laser only works on
And
like
it's
2
shit.
different things.
and you have no ammo with it. And you have to hit them perfect.
And then you're out of ammo with it.
And
so
if you
you're
play
like,
it on like 00, there's like 1,000 bolts
Yeah.
around it. So you have to get a perfect trace, or you are restarting the mission.
I remember
you have to do it with
GoldenEye
a
when,
stylus.
Yeah, pretty much.
when like it's one of the first missions where you go to the vent and you jump down on the guy taking a shit.
Oh, it's one of the
or
best parts in the movie too. It's a fucking facility, I think.
Yeah.
So the first stage is dam,
Yep.
and then when you take
Classic.
the jump off of
Fucking
that,
classic level.
and you go to the bottom, you're in the facility. I believe it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
There's also a lot of 007 games.
Yep.
Oh,
But that's the one.
yeah.
though.
GoldenEye.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And then other than
I think I
that,
still have it.
I thought it was.
my most. You go ahead.
Oh no. I was gonna say I thought it was weird that The World Is Not Enough didn't have split screen. It came out after GoldenEye.
It's
and
unacceptable that
Yeah,
it
and
didn't
it didn't have
actually- that's what
multiplayer.
it meant.
But also,
Well, it was so weird because Nightfire was like the first one that I felt like was like a good like. It almost felt like an arena shooter.
Yeah.
It basically was an arena
Yeah.
shooter.
That's fair.
And like it was like one of the first times I could just play against bots for fucking 18 hours.
yeah,
Yeah,
I like
that's something
I
that
like
was missing from GoldenEye,
That's
but
what
they just couldn't do it yet.
That's what was so good about Time Splitters as a kid is that you
Isn't
could
it
just
the same people that made?
yeah,
Oh my god,
Free Radical or not Free
So
Radical.
good.
Yeah, Free Radical and IDOS. EIDOS?
Yeah.
EIDOS. They did didn't they do
IDOS,
Siphon
EIDOS.
Filter? No, that was 989 Studios.
Yeah.
Who also
Nine,
made
eight-
Cool Borders.
Yep.
Cool Borders is
989
amazing.
Studios. We watched all the fucking splash screens the other day.
Yeah,
Splash
dumb,
screens
the
still like
nostalgia,
wicked fucking dude. It was so good.
Oh,
It was so good. There's the Donkey video that has like every single splash screen from every developer in it as he's trying to like play Gax. Gax? What the fuck happened to Gax?
that's such a good series.
Oh
Enter
my
the Gecko
God.
was so good.
yeah, you play as a gecko.
The
It's sweet.
guy who did his voice was amazing,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
have no clue who it is. He's so good.
But what were you gonna say? The game you played the most of?
the
too.
So the game on N64 I played the most, without question, is Duke Nukem 64.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
question.
Is that where you could give the strippers money?
No, because they censored it.
Oh.
Duke Nukem 3D had like nudity, and you could go
Okay,
up to
yeah.
you could go to the strippers and go, "You want to dance? Shake it, baby.
Shake it,
like, it's so good,
Yeah.
dude. And you just
So
keep putting
sleazy.
20s. They pull their fucking, they have
Their little
tassels on
fucking-
or whatever.
You could piss.
And then if you shoot them, they scream and their fucking peg caps come out or whatever. But in the 64 version, they censored that. But the other thing they did is they switched out the RPG for a grenade launcher that you could lob, like you would shoot it and it'd be like, thoo, and lob out, and you could bank it. And I beat
That's
that
so
game
cool.
on the hardest difficulty, only using either the boot or bank shots with the grenade launcher.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have the grenade launcher to bank off walls only, I just had to kill with the boot. And I did it without cheating.
Do you like Duke Nukem more than Doom or no?
Man, that's so tough.
Do you like Wolfenstein too?
Did you finally play Doom? You finally
Fuck
got to
off! I'm fucking leaving. I'm fucking out of here. Dude, that is the fucking.
Oh,
That is the
felt
oldest
good. That was a good
inside
setup.
joke.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was. This is what I realized that I like. There's.
Oh, dude, I'm wearing a Doom hat.
Yeah. Oh God, you are a Doom fan.
I love Doom, man. I love Doom.
Yeah, dude, just like the people who wear Patriots hats.
Yeah. Dude, there was a party at Wes's, and I was super excited because I had a ton of GameStop points. So I bought a shirt. It's gone, by the way. I have no idea what happened to it. Yeah, I
it was
can't-
a really cool
It was
shirt.
a fucking.
Oh,
it was
I
just a
remember that.
black
It's
shirt.
probably here.
It probably is. It was a black shirt, and the whole front was just the Doom 1 box art, but it was like the full, like, unedited box art with blood and shit all over it.
I didn't realize
And,
until after I beat 3 that you go through that area in 3.
What do you mean?
The box art from 1.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, what
Oh,
the fuck?
yeah.
Because I didn't
Yeah.
realize it until someone posted it on Reddit. They were
Yeah.
like, they literally posted a shot of
Yep.
basically what the box art is. I was like, what the fuck? How did I miss that?
But it's
So-
fucked because I love the Doom games, and I
I
wore
love
that
them
shirt.
as well.
And Dave comes in, and we're all hanging out, and this, like, I was like 16, and I was intimidated by you, like, at the time, and you knew.
So
And
you know I'm gonna fuck with
Dave
you.
starts it off, like, I'm drinking, and he looks at me, and he goes, oh, you got a Doom shirt, huh? Where'd you get that? And I was like, oh, cool, Dave likes my shirt. And I was like, oh, I got it from GameStop. I got use my points on it. He goes, oh. He goes, have you even played them? He goes, you're not even a real Doom fan. You got it with points. You didn't buy it with cash. You're not even a real fan. And dude, the whole night he was shit talking me for wearing the shirt. Like, did not stop. But yeah, I finally played Doom.
Like I did like 15
Yeah.
years ago.
Dude, I had a wicked shitty Winbook laptop
Nice.
that had a disk drive, and it couldn't play anything. But I had Doom 1 and 2
It'll play Doom.
and Wolfenstein.
Doom 2 is the best.
Doom 2 is the best.
Yeah, that's the best one they ever made.
That's
the
when
one
that's when I earned your respect, was when you're like, well, what's the best one? I go,
Yeah, it's
Doom 2.
Yeah, no question.
Because it is, and it's also got the
that's
super
one of my
shotgun.
most played games ever in my life. Still,
it's weird. I've never played Doom 2.
God,
I've
I
only
love
played the
Doom.
first and the
Doom
new
2
one.
is so good. And I remember
good.
I bought the BFG edition just because it came with 1 and 2.
it did. Yeah,
And Paul Gamble and I would hang out at Wes's, and me, him, and Wes, and whoever else, probably Sean or Anthony or whoever,
Yeah,
would just get fucking baked and just play split screen co-op Doom 2 on like the hardest difficulty.
To me, my brother would do.
Dude,
We
it's
had it.
so
We had it.
fun.
We
It's
beat it
so
with
fun.
no cheats on the hardest difficulty.
It's so fun.
so hard.
Like,
but it's so good.
But it's such a good game to play co-op because you
Yes,
can all
yes.
do different shit, and then you meet up, and then oh man,
yeah,
or
it's
like
be
Doom's
easier.
amazing.
They don't increase like the enemy density or anything when I do co-op.
So I don't think so.
it's only
But
the
it's
diffi-
just max
the difficulty.
density anyways.
The difficulty levels increase the character count, right, or the enemy count.
Enemy, yeah, the difficulty level is
That
universal,
makes
and if
sense,
you have
yeah.
more guys, you're just still fucked. There's
Yeah,
so many.
right.
And
And
there's just too much.
The
man. It's
worst
so
is when
overwhelming.
one guy would discover a secret and then be gone, like disappear.
Yeah.
Like, Paul, where are you? I have no idea. It's
and he's
dark.
going, this place is fucking huge, and I accidentally like walked through a wall, and I can't find that wall, and I'm just stuck now.
Yep.
And,
And
we're
then-
like 40 stages deep, and I have no idea where I am.
And you always run out of ammo, so you're always
Yeah.
using your pistol.
I remember Paul at
Yep.
one point, fucking, we're all going through, and he found a secret, and like maybe like 15 or 16 like stages in or whatever it was, and he dropped, and it was pitch dark, pitch black, and he could hear enemies, and like he was getting attacked, and he ran around to stop getting hit. As soon as he shoots, you see the fucking flare, or not the flare, like the light from the gun barrel right in front of him, blows up. The entire room was just all explosive barrels, and he had
God.
all the weapons and everything. He was so pissed. That was so fucking fun.
Wow.
That just Doom is so good.
Yeah, Doom is amazing. I think for me, I have to go Duke Nukem 3D for my favorite over all of them, though. The PC Duke Nukem 3D is it's just too good. It's so funny. It's timeless. And it's just
Probably cheap
made
as hell,
for
too,
me.
now. Probably get it for $3.
Yeah, and it's amazing co-op. It has amazing multiplayer like deathmatch with bots, and you can make the bots the highest difficulty in the game, and they're so cheap and fucked up, and you just can't even try to beat them.
yeah.
I was gonna say too, Alien Trilogy was probably the game that
I mean,
I
Trilogy's
have
good.
a lot of nostalgia with, because my dad and I are gigantic Alien fans, still are, and he played that game nonstop.
It's a good
and
one.
We played it together all the time.
I played Alien vs. Predator last night, and it is actually harder than I remember.
The new
Which
one or the
one?
old ones?
The one for the 360,
Oh, dude, 2010, the Rebellion one.
it was harder than I fucking
Is that
thought.
one good? Because I always heard it was
thought
good.
it was
I
good.
like
It was
it,
just
yeah.
short. It was
I
It
heard
was
it was
short.
good.
Yeah,
But
dude,
dude,
when
it's
you
fucking
play
hard
as
as shit.
The
though.
Marine campaign is
Yes.
They
fucking
made-
dog shit.
What was
It's hard,
the big?
dude.
What console did they make Alien versus Predator for first?
PC.
It was like
Oh,
it was
the
like
Atari
Jaguar.
Jaguar.
Yeah,
That one
I never
cool.
played that on Jaguar.
You should
I
get an
forgot
emulator
about
and
that
check
console
it out.
completely.
It's pretty sweet.
Never. I didn't own a Jaguar until way later.
You actually had one?
Yeah, but it was because like I found one at like a yard sale in like 2007.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
you know what I
You
mean?
didn't
Like
grow
it
up
was
on one.
not as a kid, because as a kid, where the fuck did you find them? They never. When we were little kids,
It was hard for me to get a Dreamcast.
I definitely had a Dreamcast. I
What's a
feel like when we
Dreamcast?
were kids, you guys would
Gamecast?
probably remember it.
What's
But
a
do you remember Ames?
Yeah.
Right.
Dude, I was
Ames.
just talking about Ames today.
Yeah, Ames was like a Walmart competitor that we had here, and it was actually really good. It was a
where,
legit
like,
competitor.
it was over in the plaza. There.
Yeah, it was where
Yes,
Tractor
it was,
Supply
yes,
is.
exactly. It's where
Yeah.
Tractor Supply was. But at Ames, they had a completely different game selection. But I mean, that was so long ago. You're talking like Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. But
Yeah.
dude, growing up, our stepdad had. That's all he had. Like, he worked at Novellus and he played video games. So we always had every console because he wanted to fucking play everything too, which lucked out for us because we wanted every fucking console.
Yeah.
So we had like Saga Channel and shit.
Huh?
You ever heard of Saga Channel?
Dude,
There's
that
a
was
lot.
amazing.
I don't think you know how much. I'm like way younger than you are.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I'm
How old are you?
22.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I'm 30. I didn't realize you were that much younger than me. I genuinely thought you were like in your mid 20s.
No, I just turned 22 like 6 months
dude,
ago.
Jesus Christ. That's insane.
Yeah.
You suck, dude.
Okay, so
I should get older.
yeah,
dude.
what the fuck, dude? Get older.
We'll put that on a shirt.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Get older.
So back in like the early 90s, when it was Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis were like running shit. So you would have been like -10 or whatever.
Yeah, I would have been
However
like
fuck
if it was
old you
I was born in 96. That
So
helps.
yeah, so I don't even know if it was still a thing then. It might have been.
The
We
Genesis?
got rid of it by then. No, Genesis was still a thing, but Saga TV. So Saga, it was called Saga Channel. It was a cartridge you put in your Saga Genesis. Okay, do you remember this at all?
I think so. Yeah.
So it was a cartridge you put in your Genesis.
I had the Genesis.
And it was a subscription service. It was like, $10, $15 a month or whatever.
It was
Just
like
like
Amazon
just like
Prime.
getting cable, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
just similar to actually surprisingly similar to Amazon Prime with the 2-day shipping and
Amazon stole the idea, dude.
stuff. No, yeah, they got it from Saga Channel. Nothing else. Amazon got it from Saga Channel. So all seriousness, you'd put a cartridge in there and there was like a port on the back for like a phone line.
Yeah.
And you would, I think it was a phone line. It might have been a cable line that they used actually, now that I think of it.
Yeah, I think
But
it was. It was.
It was,
the
yeah.
fucking
It was a-
little
it was a
prong.
cable- it was a
Had the little
coaxial,
prong in
yep.
the middle.
Twisty fucking
It was a
shit.
coaxial in it. So you would plug into that to your normal cable and then you paid for it just like you would pay for like HBO or something. And then whenever you plug that in, it was incredible. It was like a fucking, I don't know. I don't even know. It was like demos, behind the scenes videos. It was like news on Saga games coming out. It was kind of like the PlayStation Store or something where you have all this new releases, demos.
Oh, so it's like
and then-
PlayStation Underground.
So yeah. It was like PlayStation Underground, except for then you had access to free full games as well, and you could play full games on there, and they would rotate out what games there were every month. Way ahead of its time, dude.
What the-
way ahead of its time.
That's actually
Yeah.
fucking
yeah,
crazy.
we had it for a little bit, not that long.
Yeah. Well, it's a shame Sega went downhill, you
But
know.
Saga
Bub-
is a
Bubsy blew it out of the
surprisingly
water.
Yeah, sure. Saga is a surprisingly ahead of their time console, like consistently.
Yeah.
Like everything they put out, they were doing stuff that made you be like,
Yeah.
"Whoa!"
I was
Yes.
watching.
And they were always under the radar, though.
always just below.
Like
And
Nintendo just had a huge fucking
some of their
name.
some of their best stuff just didn't quite hit. But then you see where things went,
Well,
and
they
you go,
also-
"Well, they got it from that Wicked Bad."
Yes, and they also just didn't have the licenses.
No, they didn't. They didn't. That's
That
true.
was what it was.
I was watching some dude that does like video game documentaries, and he does like 30 to 40 minute videos on YouTube about consoles and game companies. That
Is this the
exist
gaming
on-
historian?
Maybe.
because that's amazing.
It might be.
He does
him.
like a full documentary about every console just time periods in gaming history.
I just watched him do one about Game Shark, which was pretty sweet. Maybe it was a different dude because
maybe I don't know.
But
it
could be
maybe
him
I
still.
was watching the Game Historian and the Game Shark guy was a different one.
There's other series too though that
But
do the same.
I watched
stuff.
the one about Sega, like the rise and fall of Sega, and it's like Dave said, it is crazy. Like, and their marketing
so ahead of
was
their time.
so fucking white knuckle, like ballsy.
Yes.
dude, like straight up, like having fucking like they had like a post or not a poster, they had like an ad in a magazine that was just like. I think it was actually Sonic the Hedgehog, like running away with Peach or something. Like, I swear to God, that's what it was.
They went
like,
hard
they were
in the
fucking
paint
crazy
against Nintendo because they had nothing to lose. They knew they were the number 2.
Yeah. And you might as and like when you think back too, and then I watched the one about how PlayStation came to be, about how PlayStation was working out a deal with Nintendo to make a disk drive based console, and it fell through. So Sony made their own thing.
Oh, that's true. That's
Yeah.
real.
I didn't know that.
It was Nintendo. They were making. Nintendo signed a deal with Sony to make. So this is. I don't know why I know this, but this is pretty important video game history.
Yeah.
So Sony signed a deal with Nintendo to do a disc system for a new console, right?
Right.
And then when they finished it, there's even a prototype of it. And it's like the Nintendo version of a PlayStation, and it looks just like a fucking Sony PlayStation. And Nintendo got to the 11th hour and pulled the plug on the project. And Sony went, very cool. Now we make the best selling console ever made.
Yep.
And we completely change everything.
Dude, and then Sony became what Sega wanted to be.
Yeah, they did in every way. Yep, they pulled it off. So then this is where it gets good, though. So then Nintendo signed another deal to do a CD afterwards with Philips, because Philips also made CDs. And then they backed out of that as well, but Philips already knew about Sony's negative deal. So they went, if you guys back out, we get to do something, and as a back door, we can just use some of your licenses. And they were like, cool. So they backed out, and Philips made the worst console of all time, the Philips CDI.
I remember that.
And then they made the worst video games ever, the Zelda Philips CDI games that are just unplayable. They're so bad. They're so bad.
No, you don't.
You'll find AVGN did a
Guaranteed.
really good episode on all of them.
I fucking love
They're
him.
just
dude.
so bad.
I
He's
love
one of
him.
my heroes.
But I just watched his
I love him.
his Action 52.
Yeah, it's bad.
Oh man, when he plays all 52 games. But I also watched
Barely.
barely, yeah.
But what else are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
Half of them are the same fucking game.
Yeah. There was a thing I watched. There's a channel you got to check out. It's called Gamers, but instead of an A, it's a V. You ever heard of it?
No.
Dude,
I'll check it out.
Oh, it's so good. I'll send it to you. I watched that guy nonstop. He does like the rise and fall of certain
Companies and things.
companies and also
I love that
franchises.
shit. I love that shit.
And but
History.
there was one guy that I was watching that did like Final Fantasy, like a whole thing about the history and how Sony completely, or Square Enix or Squaresoft at the time,
Yeah.
Squaresoft and Sony, like Squaresoft was developing Final Fantasy VII, if I recall correctly. They were developing Final Fantasy VII, and they couldn't fit it on a cartridge.
And
So
they were gonna do it on N64.
Yeah,
They
and
were gonna.
Nintendo was like, "No, we have to put it on one cartridge because there's no way to save." And
They didn't have a technology.
Yeah, and Squaresoft was like, "Cool, we're gonna not do anything until our contract runs out and develop this game, and then give it to Sony."
Correct.
And that's
And look
exactly
at
what they
that.
did. And it
They
was
just knew the N64 wasn't capable of doing what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you even look at, like, I'm playing through it again now because it's easily
Seven?
it's easily in my Mount Rushmore, of
Which is a
games.
good segue, because before we started the podcast, we were talking about favorite Final Fantasy games and their
Yeah.
impact. And
Seven's
your favorite?
Seven is
It's Mount Rushmore in gaming history.
Yeah,
Just objectively, it is.
I want to say
but
I go back and forth between, like, I love 7 because that's the one that I always wanted to play, but I could never find it on disc because you can't. Back when I was like 11 or 12,
it's tough
I had it
still.
on
No,
disc, but-
because it's one of those games where like everybody had it, but who's selling it?
Exactly.
You're not gonna sell it.
And so when I was like 10 or 11, and I had a PS3.
If I had
Probably
it, I'd
not.
sell it.
And when PS3 had the PSN store,
Yeah.
like the first PS1 classic game they put on there was Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah,
And I was
bought
like
it
10.
immediately.
And I bought that, and my dad was so pissed because he did all these contracts for like construction and like roofing and shit to get me this PS3 for Christmas. And he bought me like
the
Resistance,
very
Fallen Man,
first
and Madden
thing.
and all this. And the only game I was playing was a game from 1997.
Yep. But it's one of the best.
And I played that incessantly.
Yep.
But then I also really, really liked 10 because that was the first one I played.
10 is
10 was the first one I played,
So-
and I love the combat system. That's the thing I like the
Oh,
most.
yeah.
The
So
combat is great.
10 is a special game in the Final Fantasy franchise because it was the last one made by the OG crew that did 1 through 10. And then all those dudes kind of went off and did their own stuff, and that's why 10-2 out has never been the same. So for me, I consider Final Fantasy 1 through 10 to be the real, that's what Final Fantasy is.
And that's a solid,
to me.
That's a solid
I
set
know
of
people that
games, too.
love post 10
13.
games.
Like-
yeah, well,
13,
a lot of people like
15. I know a ton of people that love 15.
I really liked 15, which is weird because I hate Kingdom Hearts.
Isn't the
like-
combat different though?
In 15, it's the combat in 15 is basically Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
Yeah.
that sounds.
It's a
but
little
less
more
strategic.
complex.
That
Yeah.
sounds good to me.
I
though. Like,
I didn't like 15, but I also didn't play a lot of it.
I
And I heard it gets better as you get balls deep
dude,
into it. But
when it is a fucking drag until you get to a point where you're like this, you're Prince Noctis, and you're like, your country gets attacked by basically the Nazis, like the country that has all the military
Basically.
power and technology.
Yeah, I remember
And your
that.
country's all magic and shit. Well, your father gets killed. Spoiler alert. In the beginning of the game.
not that much of a spoiler anymore.
And
I mean, no,
it's in like
it's
the first
pretty
hour or
decently
two.
yeah, what's the statute of limitations on spoilers? Like, how long does it have to be before you?
The game's been out for like 3 years. It's fine. Anybody that was gonna play Final Fantasy 15
Is that what it
has
is?
played
3
it by
years?
now.
So it's 3 years.
It's
So that's-
gotta be.
after
the Titanic-
3 years-
I think
after
it's
3
three.
years.
I think it's like 3 years.
The,
Yeah,
ti-
that
the,
makes
ti-
sense.
the Titanic sinks. Okay, spoiler alert. All right, fuck off. But
No, it doesn't.
it's still there. It's still hanging out. It's just glassing. But when you're
Snape kills Dumbledore.
When you're no,
That's kind of greasy.
that's fucked up.
We're not gonna do this. Yeah.
Why is Snape killing Dumbledore like a fucking? That's not allowed.
That happened
but-
10 years ago.
Yeah, that happened.
Why is that
a long time ago?
But Nancy
Anakin-
Drew solves the mystery.
Yeah, Anakin is Darth Vader.
Yeah,
You never find Carmen Sandiego. Little Peep overdoses.
Oof. That went
Anyway,
south.
so your father dies, and his magical powers get transferred to you, and your father's like right hand man takes you across the map basically at key points in the story, and you go through these dungeons, and you go into the tombs of your ancestors, and every tomb you get a new magical weapon.
What is
And
this?
Final Fantasy 15.
I never
You
experienced
can
it.
get that
I
far?
know that is like I played the beginning and his
Yeah.
dad dies.
Like you
so
get
I
on the
knew
ship
that.
in the beginning of the game.
I
and-
got as far as let's all dress like cringy Japanese guys with like a leather jacket on with one sleeve cut off and take selfies in front of our muscle car. And then the very first quest I'm going to have you do is you're just going to have to feed some fucking cat on a boardwalk. And I went, nope, I'm out. I
That's
just
literally like
can't
what-
care. I
Dude,
can't care
the
about
coolest thing, honestly, is the bounty hunting quests.
it. I wouldn't know.
Oh my god!
I have to give it another
You should
chance.
go back.
Everybody
through.
tells
you
me
should go
to.
Back through.
It is what
you get
it
to
is.
a point where you have to do like actual hardcore dungeons, but it's weird because they're dungeons akin to like the first 2 or 3 Final Fantasy games, but you play them in the 3D action based combat.
That's weird.
It is really weird, but once you get the hang of it and you get to the end, you fight the boss, and your magic weapons are they're so cool. And you can summon them whenever you want. You have like an axe that does like, a shit ton of fire damage, but it pools out of your MP or whatever, your mana.
I've only played 7, 8, and like 3, I think.
7 and 8 is really good. 8 actually was the first one I played, now that I think about it, with Squall.
Yeah.
8 was the first one I played, but 10 was the first one I beat.
Let's see. First Final Fantasy game I ever played was 1 for NES.
That's a really good.
When I was
the NES version is fucking
unplayably
so hard. Yeah.
You're given 0 direction. You have no idea where the fuck to go. I'm fucking 5 years old, and I'm going, yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I didn't. It never mattered at all to me.
I think 3 was for the Super Nintendo.
The next one I played was the US 2,
yes,
which is actually 4 on Super Nintendo, and that blew me away. That was what I was like,
we were just talking about with Cecil and Kane.
Yep. And then, so I have had like a lifelong like bucket list goal of playing and beating 1 through 10. Now 3, the actual 3, I've only ever been able to play the 3DS remake of it because I've never been able to find it.
Is that the one with the chibi?
It was only in Japan when it came out.
Yeah.
Of the first 10, in some version of the game, obviously because 3, I didn't get to play the original, I have beaten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 10. So I've never beaten 8 or 9. Never played 9.
I haven't heard much about 9 at all.
Never played 9. I hear it's one of the best ones.
Brian loves 9.
I hear it's amazing.
I didn't beat 9 either.
8, every version of it I've ever owned, or even emulators I've tried to play, has always been glitched, like discs damaged or something, and just wouldn't work for me. So I would get to a certain point in 8 where you get, I think, is the first summon that you fight Ifrit, and then you get him, right? I would get through that, go back to school, and the game would fucking freeze, and I'd have to start over. And I was like, nope, I'm out.
Dude, the fucking scene.
But I marathoned them back in the day.
I want to pull it up when we're on break, because it blew me away. The scene in 8 when you fucking land on the beach with your fucking squad mates. It's right in the beginning.
Oh yeah, dude. That was good. I loved the game, loved it. Was sucked in, and then it just wouldn't let me play it.
I just don't remember.
7
I want to get it.
I love 7 honestly too, because the player models in game are so shitty.
They're
like
just
the
most. It's the most iconic Final Fantasy ever made. It just is.
Like I honestly,
it's the most memorable.
It's like this photorealistic overworld, and then like triangles and polygons. Like just random.
And
circles.
the cutscenes are so good even now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was talking to a guy at work about it. Do you know Alex Brightbeck?
Yeah.
I work with Alex Brightbeck.
Went to high school with him.
He fucking loves Final Fantasy, and him and I talk about Final Fantasy 7 every time one of us goes to play it again, which is like every 3 months, every 4 months probably. And we were talking about how adjusted for inflation, it's still the most expensive game ever made.
Yeah.
Absolutely, like fucking nuts, dude. And it made
So
I could go on about it for way too long.
For me, I think that 7 is the most, like, you just have to give it up as the best one because of like historical significance, quality of game, like significant moments, and how memorable it is.
The materia system is so good too.
Everything's good in it. It's flawless. So it's tough not to pick that, but for me, my favorite one is 6.
Oh, 6
That's
is
my favorite
really
one.
good.
I have it tattooed on my arm. I have the final battle with Kefka as a centerpiece on my video game sleeve because it's just so memorable, dude.
I love the Kefka. Did Stacey do that?
Stacey did everything, man. Yeah.
God, shout out to Stacey. You're fucking perfect.
She's a monster. Man.
You're so amazing.
But that game, just the way that game was able to like make you feel and create the same level, in my opinion, the same level and quality of memorable moments, character development, emotional moments. and then obviously all the gameplay systems and mechanics are perfect.
And it starts
On Super Nintendo with sprites.
Yeah.
Somehow it still does it.
And it looks so. And
it looks
feels
incredible.
So good, yeah.
Yep.
That's one of the harder things to do is get
It's such a
get
nightmare.
you to care about the story,
Well,
in that deep of a manner,
And
and also have a game that's that playable. And
Yes.
it
that fun
starts
to play.
off.
Yes.
I feel like a Reid.
I think it was
tired.
Gears of War
What's
2 or
the-
3 that did that for me too. Like I felt like Gears,
Whichever
whichever one
one
Dom, another spoiler, Dom dies.
Yeah,
3.
dude. It's
Dude,
one of the
Gears
greatest
3,
game moments of
3,
all time.
Yeah.
My cousin Nick.
Gears of War games are so
We
good.
played through. It was like spring break or winter break. We played through 1, 2, and 3 like back to back to back over a few days. Amazing fucking time, obviously.
Yeah.
But when we knew, Dom was gonna die, and like when Dom dies in 3, and when you find Maria in 2,
Yeah.
and then when you find Ty in 2, when he fucking blows his head off with the shotgun.
Yep.
Oh my god! You wouldn't
Those
expect
games
the
are-
most testosterone infused game to make you cry.
For me,
When you play as refrigerators.
I was always, and I try to be, and I stand by this, even though I don't have an Xbox console and haven't in years. I still consider myself just all consoles. I don't care. I just need good games. I just want to play good games. And for me, the two most compelling arguments for getting an Xbox ever are
Halo and
always going to
Gears.
be Halo and Gears. Yeah.
Yep.
For me, there's not really anything else that makes me go, gotta have it.
Yeah. for
Halo
me-
and Gears you just have to
Yes.
play them. You've got to play
I
them.
think
They're
for
too
me
good.
it was always I don't care too much about PlayStation exclusives, and I always had the Xbox consoles because I was a Halo
Which is
fan.
that's a big thing though. Like when PS3 came out, I didn't get a PS3. I got an Xbox 360
Yeah.
because I had all of the prior consoles,
Plus
like
they were
Xbox,
cheaper.
PlayStation 2, GameCube, and Dreamcast. Had all of them.
I mean,
and-
Halo 3 just made me want the console in general.
Yeah, that's
Sure.
when I got a 360 was after Halo 3
Same.
came
We
out.
had me and Jake were like, we have to have it because
Yes.
Halo 3.
Like, we watched-
We're gonna play it.
Wes
There's
and
no
I
way we're not.
watched all the Red versus Blue like Halo hype shit, which
Mm-hmm.
is still hilarious. And then I remember
Red versus Blue is amazing. It's
yeah.
one of the best YouTube series of all time.
I remember I told the story before about how we went to Wes's and we weren't going to go until later in the day, and my dad woke me up early to bring me to Wes's because even Uncle Wes knew how big Halo 3 was, and he goes, "You got to bring Jake
Big
over in the morning because
Early.
little Wesley wants to show Jake Halo 3." And my dad woke me up wicked early. It was like 8:30 in the morning, and he goes, "We're going to Uncle Wes's." I go, "I thought we weren't
the
going
fuck,
until
why?
later." And he goes, "Little Wesley just got Halo 3," and I was out the door. And I was like
Yep.
10, like 10 or
Yeah.
11 when it came
I
out.
think I got my 360 for Christmas. I had a friend who
So
brought
did
it
we,
over,
yeah.
and I got it for Christmas. And I came downstairs, and it wasn't in the regular room. Everything else was always in. It was in the back room, and we go out there, and there was like there was like Game Fuel or whatever, those Mountain Dew things, those special edition Halo 3 things.
Yep.
All over the fucking room, and then there was a Xbox 360 hooked up with Halo 3. We were like, oh, yeah.
Okay, yep.
So
And that was it. I was hooked on Xbox
Yeah.
until I did get a PS3 like I don't know a year ago or
Yeah.
something like that.
Like, I got
But
a
really
PS
the
I
only
would say-
exclusive I play is MLB The Show.
True. Yeah, and that's worth
you're
it.
missing
though.
out, man.
But
there's
last-
too many.
I have The Last of Us.
And
Okay.
Bloodborne.
Uncharted.
I haven't played those.
It's as good as the
You
last
played
one.
I have
Sometimes
Bloodborne.
better.
I have
he
Bloodborne.
fucking hates Bloodborne.
I don't like Bloodborne.
I don't give a shit about Bloodborne either.
Really?
No, I loved the Dark Souls. Bloodborne didn't do much for me.
Wow, that's crazy.
So Bloodborne was good. I liked it, but then I played Dark Souls Remaster, and I was like, "Oh, this is what these games feel like when they're perfected."
I was gonna say Dark Souls 1 is the best one. That's
Yeah.
a fact.
Steve Lacerda always tells me that he thinks 3 might be the best one, Dark Souls 3, but he loves 1. He
3
loves
is
1
close.
so much.
3,
I've never played 3.
That was
the first time I ever played a Dark Souls game in my life. Was I played Dark Souls Remaster? I just never cared about them and never even gave them time of day.
Dark Souls 1
and it blew me
had
away.
The best world design, but 3 had definitely the best levels and the best
the world
bosses.
design is so good.
But the world design in 1 is crazy because
it's just so good how it's all connected.
I was just
it's so good, dude.
And once, like, the best part is when you beat the game and you max it out and you start a new character, you realize, oh shit, if I get this key and this key and I talk to this guy, I can get wicked late game gear in the beginning and then steamroll and then go and you can go back to the asylum, get the doll, and then go to the fucking painted world and get all the fucking corrupt items and then fight that boss. And it's just, there's so much to it.
Game.
Like there's
it's
so
such
much
a good
to
game.
it. Like that's an RPG where the second playthrough is better than the first.
And in that game, I didn't get it. I didn't understand because I'd never played it. So I just was like, who gives a fuck that it's so hard?
Yeah.
So because all you ever heard about the series was that it's really hard.
Yes.
It's challenging.
You die
and that's very fair. It is challenging as fuck. I didn't understand that it's like a flawlessly designed long goal RPG though. I didn't get it. I didn't get all the lore, all the character
your goal is
stuff.
Right from the beginning.
It's so good, dude. It's so good.
And 3, the best thing with 3, I think, was they really, really, really fleshed out every side character as much as possible. Like, to the point where when you do New Game Plus or Plus 2, you want to do other characters' quests. Because you can't do all of them in one playthrough for 3, if I recall correctly. You could do, like, a couple of them each playthrough. And, but there were a lot of parts in 3 where I was just like, I don't even want to keep going. Like, when you go back to the demon ruins, the lava sections in 3, and the fucking what's it called? The place near the like the end of the game where you have to fight the prince on the dragon, and you have to fight the 2 princes, the one that's the cripple and the one that's jacked. Like, you have to fight Jimmy and Timmy.
Is this in 3?
This is in 3.
Yeah. I have no clue.
The Lothric princes. But number 1, the only problem I had with Dark Souls 1 is after you beat Ornstein and Smaug, and you get the Lord Vessel, and then you have to go to the fucking library or whatever.
That is such a scummy part of that
place fucking
game.
Sucks, dude. That place sucks so bad.
Why is it always the library that's in every game?
Because it's basically every enemy that you've already faced, but one of the main bad guys beefed him up. Oh. That's it. And like it's the same attacks.
Every game it's the fucking library though, dude. Like in Halo 3 had the was it Halo 3?
Halo 1 has the library is where you
1.
see the flood for the first time.
Yeah. Fuck that shit. You know what's coming and it still fucking gives you goose pimples.
Good.
That one that one's such a goddamn Halo 1 is the only game I haven't beaten on Legendary because it's that level is the fucking,
it's impossible, man.
It's actually impossible. You have to just spray AR bullets.
I think me and Schwalik beat 1 on Legendary.
You have to do it co-op.
But we did it co-op. We did it co-op.
You guys totally did because I remember Schwalik talking to me about it.
Me and him have beaten 1, 2, and 3 on Legendary together.
All the other ones
and when we played
bad.
3 and you do the Warthog race at the end, we were like crying our eyes out together. We were just like, it's too good. It's so nostalgic and everything we've been through together, man.
What's funny is
it maxed us out.
I bet if I loaded up that level right now, I'd know the exact path to take. Just naturally.
You just would. Yeah, your hands
it's
would
so
do
weird
it.
just because I've done it so many times.
Yeah.
Fucking, I remember...
Dude, there was when we were going for the fucking VidMaster challenges, and when ODST came out, there was a set of challenges where you could get recon armor. And so you had to do Halo 3, you had to finish the entire final mission in Ghosts. So with all 4 players. So you had to all make it through that puzzle on a Ghost and no one ever used a Ghost because everyone was using the Warthog.
You never even thought to, yep.
So it was fucking hard. And
did you know what the challenges were?
Yes, they were achievements.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I didn't know if they were hidden.
You had to all stay in like a tight group of 4 people with ghosts. And with ghosts, those things, like if you get up on somebody's side, like it's just gonna flip you. And if you get too far back, you get blown up by the fucking map. So it was hard as fuck.
I remember the game that my cousin Nick and I, like, he was my boy until I started hanging out with Wes, and then he was hanging out with his other cousins too. We used to role. Wow, it sounds weird, but we used to role play in game.
Be careful.
Yeah, so we used to like
You ready
fuck
to
each
get
other.
this ass?
Fuck this ass.
Yeah, this is
No. So
you're like, when we were little kids, we used to role play.
yeah. No.
Jesus Christ.
So we would play like we would talk to each other as if we were our characters, basically.
Word.
Like, while we
No,
were
yeah,
doing
that's
split screen,
fun,
you
man.
know?
You're little
Right. That's the
Pretending,
way to do it.
pretending you were the characters.
You have to. It's
But,
immersion.
Resistance Fall of Man.
Never played it. Mark was
Crazy
world.
game.
Mark was a world
Crazy
level
game.
player. Funny story about Mark. When the PS3
Wait,
first came
Mark
out,
Forbes?
yeah. When
Okay.
PS3 first came out,
I know
he
like
got
way too many
Resistance.
marks.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So when Forbes first got his PS3, he got Resistance, and him and the Noodle probably wasn't that good. There's no way I'd believe he was because he's just
It was
too
kind
fucked
of
up.
Sony's answer to Halo.
It was, yeah,
It
and I
was.
heard it was good. I never played
the
it.
campaign was really good. The multiplayer I sucked at, but I was also 10.
That's just why I'm bringing it up because Mark played the multiplayer, and so and I'm probably gonna fuck the story up in some way, but back in the day, like in PlayStation Magazine and stuff, the first guy to platinum a game with trophies on PS3 was a guy who platinumed Resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Now that didn't mean that he was good at the multiplayer. He just platinumed it, right?
Yeah.
But he got exposure in PlayStation Magazine and shit because they showcased him for being the first platinum trophy guy.
Yeah.
So then he played Resistance online hard, like how Call of Duty is and or was. Now no one gives a fuck about Call of Duty, but
Right.
back
It's
in
all
like
it's all
back in the
Fortnite now.
heyday, you know what I mean?
It's all Fortnite and Minecraft.
Yeah, but
And
that's
Roblox.
that way, like where everybody played
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
there was a really strong online community on Resistance because there was nothing else yet. COD 4, Modern Warfare 1 hadn't come out yet.
Yeah.
So everybody played Resistance on PS3.
Yeah, Killzone
And-
2 wasn't even out yet either.
No.
Yeah.
And so he was like incredible at it. And that guy started like a clan or a group or something on there and he just went, you guys are going to have scrims and I'll be in the game and I'm going to play with you guys. And whoever the best in the world guys are, they're going to be in my clan and you will try out for my clan and I will be the judge. And then he found all of the top like 10 guys on Earth that played Resistance online. And they were all in his clan. And Mark was one of those guys.
That's crazy.
He was one of the like top 10 players in the world in Resistance 1. And his name in the game was Bus Yard King because there was a map called Bus Yard.
Wait a minute.
And all of the best
Wait a
guys in the
minute.
world, they openly told him he was the single best in the world on
Wait a
Bus
minute.
Yard.
Wait a minute.
That he was the best player
Did
in the
you
world
say-
of
That's the
Resistance on
map.
Bus Yard.
That's the map right there.
Yeah.
I gotta do this later.
I've seen him play Noodle 1v1 on it and just toy with him like 10 years later.
I'm actually 99.9% sure that I'm friends with him on PlayStation just because we played
because
Resistance
he was Bus
together.
Yard King.
Yeah, that sounds wicked familiar because I probably knew him through like Wes. I remember Wes added a bunch of. It was weird because I was 10.
Well, that's how it worked back then, though. You would get on
And-
Resistance, and you would just add whoever the
Yeah.
good players were
My
and
f-
stuff,
I
because you
had,
would want to try to play with
Who
them.
was it?
So you wouldn't even know who the fuck they were.
I had
Wouldn't even talk to them.
I had 4 friends on PlayStation. Nick and I both had 4 friends on PlayStation because he had one right when I got one. And it was Jamto 101, Rios 27, Bird Hunter, and Stranger Danger. And Bird Hunter and Stranger Danger were 2 dudes that lived in Canada together. Mark and Devin. Holy shit. But
Another goddamn Mark.
yeah.
There's just too many
Yeah.
Marks.
But
And now Mark had a kid, and his kid's name is Mark.
too many marks, dude.
And that's the way to go.
Too many marks, man.
Well, his name's Mark Charles Forbes II, so his dad is Mark Charles Forbes.
Yeah, you gotta carry
And so
on.
his son is Mark Charles Forbes III.
But yeah, I was gonna say Resistance was a big one because the campaign is like fucking impeccable. It's so good. Like it starts off and you feel so badass because you're an American soldier in alternate history World War II fighting these like alien human hybrid monster creatures
In Resistance?
in Resistance. Yeah.
I love it.
And
I wish they would do a remaster of it for PS4, just because then I would get a chance to play a game that's historically significant to my friends and shit.
Dude, it really is.
I didn't
that
have a
story
PS3 back
was
then.
like you start off and it's basically like World War One. The Treaty of Versailles never happened. Instead, all the countries pooled together and helped Germany out.
Ooh,
the Great Depression never
sketchy
happened. So the economy and technology skyrocketed. Well, Russia's a scumbag. And they discovered this chemical that gives people like, they turn them into BOWs, and then it got out of control. And
BOWs. Resident Evil.
Yeah,
only
basically.
Resident Evil 5.
And they took over Russia, and then they were invading all of Europe. And so finally America gets all of its troops together and goes in. The whole time it's like Apone from Aliens. It's like, oh, we got this shit. Yeah, we're good. And then you get there and you realize that these monsters you're about to fight are like 8-foot tall giants with fucking lasers and shit. And you have an M4.
And you're just like, we are.
And you're like,
fucked.
we're so screwed. And you go through the entire first mission and you kill all the ones that, are in your way. And then you're sitting there and these little cockroach things come up and they fucking crawl into your mouth and infect you. And then you wake up in like they're called chimeras. You wake up in the chimera facility and you have to break out and you have no weapons. And you
fucking don't spoil it for me, man.
Oh, sorry, I didn't want to spoil it.
It's like a 15-year-old game. Dude.
It's just the first level.
I'm fucking.
But it was like, I remember it being so terrifying because I think you have just a shotgun, and the enemies you fight in that level, one hit kill you. So Nick and I would play through it and like lights off, surround sound on, just the two of us, naked.
Shock role playing.
Yeah, role playing. But that one, and then Seth and I fucking love the Rainbow Six Vegas games. Those were the other ones.
Oh my god,
Rainbow Six Vegas 2.
Those are incredible.
Yeah,
dude. Me and Jake used to play those all the time. Do you remember that? Because you went to 4th Street.
Yeah.
Paul had a 360 at 4th Street, and we would play Rainbow Six Vegas on that all the time.
2 was cool because you created your own dude, but 1 definitely had the way better story.
Rainbow Six Vegas has stuff in it. So Rainbow Six Vegas is now that you brought that up, that's such an important game for Tom Clancy because that game did stuff that ended up like, that's like a precursor to Siege. Big time. Siege is amazing. I love that game.
Multiplayer in Vegas was so
it was amazing.
So good.
And it's like Siege.
The only map you had to play was Calypso Casino. Attack and defend.
That's all you did.
That's all you played.
I liked Kill House.
The casino was amazing.
Because on Kill House, you could just let guys come down the rope and just throw a grenade at their feet, and they would just continue to come down the rope.
The casino map, Attack and Defend, was just fucking
the Tom
unreal.
Clancy game.
Like, it really was.
The Tom Clancy game that I think is maybe my favorite Tom Clancy game ever.
Siphon Filter?
No, Siphon Filter's not even one. It's
989 Studios.
No, because I always think of Siphon Filter, Metal Gear Solid, and Splinter Cell.
Yeah.
When I always say Siphon Filter and I mean Splinter Cell. Yeah. That's not even the game I'm talking about, but that's a great game. For me, and a lot of people would argue like, isn't Ghost Recon Tom Clancy? Yeah. A lot of people would say that. I think it's The Division. And that's a current game. That's a game I play that right now. And that game, when it first came out, was amazing. It got so much right and then had 0 content and just fell off wicked bad.
Yep.
Like so bad.
I didn't buy it until later on in its lifespan, and I really enjoyed it because I play Destiny, and it's a lot like Destiny.
It's very similar to Destiny. Yes, very similar, man.
But it's also
the gear leveling is very similar to Destiny. Yes.
But Jake got it, and he died on the first mission 17 times.
Do you hate it?
Dude, I fucking hate
so
the
good.
Division
It's
so much.
good.
It's so fucking hard.
It's because you want to go. So when you first play it, you go,
just can't.
here's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna run in and we're gonna be one man army like Call of Duty. Wrong.
But that's
You're gonna
that's
work
the
as a
thing.
team. You're gonna build your characters together as different play styles, and you're gonna have to have synergy and skills.
But I
and
was
stuff.
level 23 when he started playing.
Oh, so he's just getting
no,
torched.
The problem was, it wasn't even that, because we never even ended up playing together. The problem was,
He was still like in whatever.
I was in the tutorial.
Brooklyn or whatever.
Brooklyn.
So you couldn't even play with him.
No, that
And you're
yeah,
just fucked.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Is that I had to play alone, and the weapons that you start off with are shit. You die wicked quick. The enemies are fucking. And this is just the beginning. I'm sure it gets better. Like
It's
that's a game that I have.
so
I
good.
want to.
There's a lot of bullet sponges.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you don't fight anything that's over your level.
I
Like, 'cause
want to
if you
give it
do,
another
you're gonna
chance because
probably
You're gonna get
feels
worked
it
on.
feels really good to play. Like it really does.
It's one of the most
it's a
satisfying
well-made
shooters I've ever played,
But-
feel wise.
I was on party chat with Seth, and it popped up and it said Division ready to start. And on the Xbox screen, it said it was like installed all the way. So I'm playing it, and that's a bullet point. Put a pin in that. So I'm playing it. I'm getting my shit pushed in by every enemy, dude. It took me like Seth was like, yeah, it took me like a half hour to get through this. Then you can play with me. And I'm like, all right, word. It took me like an hour and a half to get through the tutorial. I get to the tutorial and I go. They're like, oh, go down here and go through that gate, and you can go to Manhattan. And I can play with Seth, and that's
And
all I
that's
wanted to
when
do.
the game
and
gets
I got to the
amazing.
gate. Not even. I got to the gate, and it's like game installation 22%, and I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. And I'm like, I am not sitting here waiting for this shit to keep installing.
Jesus
and I
Christ.
deleted it immediately. I still have it.
That's the thing. You have to install the whole
It's
game.
great.
but
But
like Xbox, like when
It does that, but it does it with a lot of games. Like I remember Battlefront 2 when I was installing it. It was ready to start, and then all it is you run around as Darth Vader for infinite
But
amount of
like
time.
the thing
killing
is
things.
it was fucked because it didn't say it was still downloading it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was
It lied to you.
downloaded, but it wasn't installed.
Right.
I guess is what it was. And I was so fucking livid. I was so mad. Like I don't even think I think I went to bed. I was that mad.
No,
but
it does,
I
gets
love
pretty
it.
decent
So
after you
we
get
we
into it.
we bought it when it first came out because we were looking at it going, oh, this is going to be amazing.
When it first came out, my buddy Nick got it. The other Nick,
No, you gotta wait until
the one that
after.
saved
Like,
my life.
Our
after
first
the
experience playing through that game, where there was like 4 of us every time we played, and we were running missions together. It was one of my favorite experiences ever playing a co-op shooter. It was so good. And then, you just ran out of shit to do, so we stopped playing, and then we picked it up again, and where we left off like last year.
They added a lot.
And
so.
we were like, oh man, there was so much more to do, but even still, not quite enough.
delicious.
And now, I mean, now the Division 2 comes out in March, and I can't
Right.
wait.
I'm
But-
getting that.
But we're playing it right now. Me and Jake are with Steve Lacerdo and a couple of our other friends.
I mean, those kind of games are
And
good. You
it's
have to
so
play
good.
with. You have to play with other people. Like
Yes. So you know what that game reminds me of? Actually, a lot
Siphon
in
Filter?
gameplay. Yeah, I was going to say Siphon Filter, actually.
Wait, really?
No.
That's the weirdest.
one of my
fucking
favorite
series.
one of my favorite co-op games ever, that's like a shooter, tactical shooter like that me and Jake have beaten all of them on the hardest difficulty, and you're gonna love it. It's an Xbox only game, I think. It's Army of Two.
Yes!
Army of Two.
Army of Two
And
is so
it's
good.
amazing.
Yeah. We
And
talked
like,
about
Those games, me and Jake played all of them and beat them on every
knew you were gonna
difficulty.
say- I knew you were gonna say Army of Two.
Obsessed with those games.
So good.
I wish I
So
still
good.
had access
Yeah,
to
they
them.
were really good for
They're
two players.
they're on EA Access. I got them.
And
They're
I
definitely
feel
the
like-
best like couch co-op. type
Yes,
of games,
yes.
You know?
And
Yep.
we played all 3 of them couch co-op.
There's 3 of them. There's a third.
I think there's 3.
I know
Is
that
there
there's
3?
the 40th day, and I know there probably is one after that. I'd only played. The first
Maybe there
one,
is
but-
only 2. I don't know. 40th day is the
Is the
second
second
one.
That one is crazy because
They're
a kid
so
you can
good.
get a kid shot in the face
They're so good, man.
when you get to the zoo level,
Mhm.
and you can find that kid, and you're just like you can either like tell him to hide or you can give him a pistol. You give him the pistol every time.
But the
Yeah.
the gameplay style of those in practice,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
not
The aggro
not the developing
system.
and stuff, the aggro system. Like you have teammates, you're gonna be you go this way, you
Like, if you
flank,
just shoot
communication,
the other
heavy
guy-
communication.
Yeah, if you're shooting,
Yeah,
the other
that's
guy's
how
basically
Division is.
invisible.
Yes.
Did you play Kane and Lynch?
Oh, no,
Let's do-
I haven't. I heard it was good though.
The first one's
We're at
really
like an hour and a
good.
half.
Really, for
yeah,
the first
yeah,
part.
we're hauling ass through this.
Oh yeah, but the first Kane and Lynch game, if you can find it, it's definitely on PC for cheap. play through it.
Fuck yeah.
It's really cool.
I've
The
heard it's
story-
good.
I've
Never
never
played
played
it.
Don't
that.
play the second one. Play Dead Men. The first one is basically you play as this guy Kane, and
And Lynch.
you can play as Lynch and as the co-op
Yeah,
partner. plays as
technically
Lynch.
also
Yeah.
you could play as Lynch. Yeah.
But Kane is this guy, and he was part of this assassin hitman contract group called the Seven, and he retires, and then he does something and gets put on death. Oh no, he doesn't retire. He gets caught and gets put on death row.
Spoilers.
Spoiler alert. Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Spoiler alert. Burping into the mic. I'm like fucking Opie and Anthony right now.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So, so you're on death row and you get busted out by this guy named Lynch, who also works for the Seven, and you find out that the Seven has your wife and daughter, and they make you do all these fucking wicked dangerous suicide missions to get your wife and daughter back.
Classic.
And it is, dude, there's a mission in that game. There's 2 missions in that game that are ingrained in my memory. And that's another game that my cousin Nick Carson and I played together a lot. Where
I love that shit.
There's
man.
one mission where you have to, you have to get a squad together. And conveniently enough, all your old squad mates are all in the same Supermax security prison. So you and Lynch, the 2 of you, have to fucking bust these 3 guys out of the Supermax prison. And it is so fucking tactical. And shit hits the fan, and it's so crazy. And then right after that, you have to go to this place in Japan or New York City. A big town, I don't know.
A big town.
A big village.
Yeah, New York City's a decent,
It's a
medium-sized town.
Yeah, it's a little bigger than Susquehanna. And you have to go in, break in and steal these the blueprints for a prototype super weapon or a prototype something, or maybe you just go there to steal money, and it turns into. You ever see the movie Heat with
No.
Val Kilmer?
No,
Dude.
and I am obsessed with Val Kilmer, so that sucks.
You got it. Okay, well you don't. Have you seen Heat with that? Oh,
Is that the movie
It's-
with Robert De Niro?
Is,
in
it,
it?
is it a movie?
It's a
Because
movie.
I probably haven't seen it.
Oh, that's true. That's true. But there's the mission in Kane and Lynch Dead Men where you bust into the skyscraper and you have to fight your way all the way down the main street in this giant city, and cops and fucking SWAT teams
Heat.
are just flooding in.
It's Heat.
I've heard about
it.
like Heat, dude. That scene in Heat is that mission, and it
Nice.
is fucking disgusting. Get Kane and Lynch Dead Men. It's probably $5.
Yeah.
Probably $5.
It's old, and
It
was
is old. That's true.
If it's
what
not, it
system was
will
on?
be at some
PS3
point.
and 360.
PS3
and it was on
360.
computer too. Yeah,
Word.
I actually might buy it, because I want to play through it again
Yeah, dude. I feel like there's so many games
from that era.
One of probably the most significant, way that I experienced gaming, growing up, was because of co-op gaming.
Yeah.
Me and my brother would play everything together, and beat 'em ups, 90s, Super Nintendo Sega beat 'em ups, Streets of Rage 2 and shit. That's actually
Double
funny.
Dragon and shit.
2 years ago, and we've been playing these games since we were young children. I was 5 and shit, right? And me and Jake beat Streets of Rage 1 for Sega for the first time ever 2 years ago. Never beat it. I've beaten Streets of Rage 2 5 billion times.
Yeah.
But Streets of Rage 1 is impossible to
I'm
beat.
gonna be honest. I can't get into beat 'em ups, dude. I really can't get into beat 'em ups. It's really actually
is
no. I like
weird
Fighting
because
Force. I like
some-
Fighting Force.
Fighting Force was good. It was supposed to be Streets of Rage 3, if I remember correctly.
It depends. I get into some of them. I mean,
Some of them are stale for me. They're like Golden Axe. I love it. It hurts to say, but I can't play it because
I
I'll play
liked,
it for 5 minutes and go,
fucking-
I'm good.
like
Wait, so-
Turtles in
wait,
Time.
why is it
Turtles in Time is one of the best games ever made.
Why
I
is
love it.
Why is it weird? I don't like beat 'em ups.
Just because
They're all the
growing
same.
up.
I mean, they're
growing up,
mostly all
you
the
had
same.
Wes and
Oh,
this
yeah.
Nick, your other cousin Nick,
We
or whatever,
are-
that you would play games with all the time. And beat 'em ups are such a natural, oh, you want to play a game together? Well, we're going to play them. However, you're younger.
Yeah,
So you had access to newer consoles.
Literally, the only game that we always could anybody in the family could sit down and play was Time Splitters 2
Yeah.
because
So-
it was hilarious.
That's a good point, because when I like growing up, the era of beat 'em up co-op games, like you're talking 94. I was 6 years old, and like,
and when I was 6 is when Time Splitters 2 came out. When I was
right,
6,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
So when
2002.
you were 6, Time Splitters 2 came out.
Yeah.
When I was
and Lego
6,
Star Wars.
when I was 6, PlayStation 1 and N64 weren't even out yet, and the only games you really could play co-op on the couch was like sports games,
Yeah.
or beat 'em ups. It's like
Yeah.
about all there was.
That's
Yeah. Yeah, that is actually really crazy how that works because
Or maybe shooters too.
I was-
Shooters in the old school shooter sense, not like first person
depends
shooters
on
or
which
gun
one.
games.
I mean,
Shooters where like Gradius Twin, or where like you play as ships and it's a side scroller.
Yeah.
It's a shooter. It's an
Oh, like a
arcade
bullet
style
hell
shooter.
game?
But
bullet hell,
kinda, yeah. Like they're almost always spaceships.
right.
Colony Wars.
And you're like side scrolling, or some of them are vertical scroll, but it's just a billion enemies on the screen and you have to shoot them, and you get different ammo pop ups and stuff. Yeah, bullet storm or bullet hell or whatever the fuck you just called it.
Bullet hell, yeah.
Bullet hell. That sounds
Let's,
about right.
Take 5.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. Let's take 5, dude. I'm cool with that.
Clear Shots is available on any of your favorite podcast platforms. ClearShotsPodcast.com is the best place to find all of our social media links. You can find us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at ClearShotsPod. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.